Ollie, quite simply, what do we know about what Merz's priorities are going to be as the German Chancellor? There's been so much talk about his huge fiscal plans, questions as to whether actually he'll be able to implement them.
Yeah, that's really been the headline, Jumana, is that trillion euros worth of spending that has been basically promised by this government. The question is, at what speed will it be able to be deployed? Will they be able to agree on what to spend it on? But for Germany today, it's really about bringing in a new chancellor and a new era here. So in the Bundestag, in about 2 hours right behind me, they're going to be voting on bringing in Friedrich Merz as the new chancellor of Germany. He will then go consult with the president, and then he'll be sworn in at about noon, and then the rest of his cabinet as well. And when we think about the structure of this government going forward, we should say that the foreign ministry and the economy ministry, two of the key ones, will be held by the CDU, by Friedrich Merz's party. But then you're also going to get the finance ministry and the defense ministry going to be held by the junior coalition partner, the SPD, which actually got a historically low turnout. But they're going to be also in large control of dispersing that trillion euros worth of assets and debt-fueled sort of spending that the German government has promised going forward. But as you say, Jumana, this is a very challenging backdrop for this chancellor coming in. We're talking about 2 consecutive years of contraction. If the tariffs hit hard on the German economy, which they are expected to do, that could be a 3rd consecutive year of economic contraction. That has literally never happened, Jumana, in 3 consecutive years of contraction since in sort of modern German economic times. It just hasn't happened. And then you also have this question of immigration. So this is going to be a government that is going to be characterized by looser spending, tighter immigration at a time when the AfD is now polling at basically the same exact level as the CDU and has actually even overtaken the CDU in some polls.
Yeah, so you brought up AfD, and I think it's important to talk about them because they are technically the 2nd largest party in the parliament breakdown. But then recently, the country's spy agency classified them as extremists, and there have been calls from some parts within Germany to ban them entirely. How far along are we with these discussions? Is there a situation where the AfD could end up being banned, Oliver?
Potentially, ultimately, but there is a lot of caution around sort of trying to pursue a full ban of this party. That is obviously something that is taken very, very seriously and has got a lot of sort of caution from a lot of the political establishment in Germany. But we should say, Jumana, that the sort of the institution that is here to defend the Constitution has put out this report, 1,000 pages on the AfD, and has determined that many of their positions are basically threats to the Constitution and threats to the democracy within Germany. And I'll quote just directly on what grounds they're saying that that's true. They say that the party's prevailing understanding of people based on ethnicity and descent is incompatible with the free democratic basic order. It aims to exclude certain population groups from equal participation in society and subject them to unconstitutional, unequal treatment. The issue here, Jumana, is we don't actually have the full report. We only have the sort of flavor of it. It probably would be helpful in understanding how the agency got to this point if they were to sort of put this out to the German population in general. And of course, for the AfD, in their part, they're saying this is a sheerly political ploy. We should say that this is theoretically a completely neutral investigation that is done by this agency, but then it's also been reinforced by Marco Rubio, who on Twitter came out and said that basically that Germany just gave its spy agency new powers to survey the opposition. This is not democracy, it's tyranny in disguise. That is the support that is coming from the Trump administration. And these are all part of the political backdrop and, of course, the economic backdrop facing Friedrich Merz as he comes into chancellorship today.